2, 1. Hey. 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 I don't know why I'm starting this off like I'm in trouble again, because it's actually the first time it's going to be consistent every 2-week upload. Is that going to happen again? Probably not. Probably not. Today we're going to talk about Shakespeare, which is probably a boring topic for some, but for me, I love talking about Shakespeare and getting people to read Shakespeare or experience Shakespeare, because I think it is quite literally life-changing. And that's not me being like, oh, pretentious, because that's how I used to think Shakespeare was. Like, people who study Shakespeare are pretentious, but then that's reinforcing that studying the arts is pretentious, but it's not. Rich people just made it pretentious so that we don't indulge in it. So let me start off on why I am talking about Shakespeare. Like most people in high school, at least in American high schools, I don't know. You study like one Shakespeare like play. Some people it's Romeo and Juliet, some people it's like Midsummer's Night Dream. I think mine was Macbeth. Did not understand a lick of what was going on. I understand nothing. Not a smidgen of what this British man was talking about. But that was my first experience with it. I was like, oh, I'm never gonna understand Shakespeare. I think I even told my teacher that. I was like, I'm never gonna understand this man. Like, I don't understand anything he's talking about. And that was me saying that because I used to love English class. That was the class I always passed in because I only ever read books and I wrote all the time. So I was like, oh my god, something I don't understand. And then that kind of faded away. And then, man, what year was it? Like 2023, 2024? I watched an adaptation called Much Ado About Nothing, starring and directed by Kevin Branagh. Emma Thompson is in it. Keanu Reeves is in it. Denzel Washington is in it. Hello. Some of the hottest people I've ever seen, and they're all like in the Italian countryside, and they're all hot and tanned and gorgeous and beautiful, and then they're just reciting this amazing, in Shakespearean English, mind you. And it's like a rom-com. It's like one of the first rom-coms-ish. I don't want to say it's one of his first, but it's like enemies to lovers. And it is so good. And it was so good, in fact, that I bought the physical version. And I read this thing front to back. I read it twice. I have read this twice. When you really shouldn't. You should watch Shakespeare perform, and I'm going to explain why later. But if I could suggest anyone, like, first time you've never heard anything of Shakespeare, I mean, probably like in school or like Romeo and Juliet, whatever, everyone knows something from Shakespeare, even if you haven't read it or watched it. I recommend Much Ado About Nothing. It is so short, it's so funny. Watch the on-screen adaptation, it will change your life. It is so good. It's so, like, you just watch it, and there's this beautiful dance sequence at the end, which is incorporated in the play, but they adapted it to the movie, and it is just, you watch it and you're like, oh my god, life is so beautiful. Like, everyone is so beautiful. I love it. I fell in love with this, as one does, and then I just got obsessed. I just went on this streak of, oh my god, Shakespeare, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I would sit down and I have annotated this poor book. Like, it needs help. And I think what was bad for me learning Shakespeare in school is, I mean, we read it out loud, but it didn't connect. Watching it performed and watching it in the movie version I did, whoa, like, I think it just clicked in my head. I was like, wait, I get this, I understand it, because then I started to learn, like, Beatrice, she's such a headstrong woman, and she's like, I don't need this. I don't need this guy. really girl bossing it around, you know, in the Italian countryside. It's so fun. Like, it's so witty, and I love seeing adaptations of it. And then, of course, Romeo and Juliet followed. I did sit down and I read this a little. It's, again, I do recommend reading it. I do recommend reading his work and kind of consuming it that way. I would recommend reading it along with hearing it being performed out, just so you have the visual. But again, that's hard to do because sometimes with adaptations they omit certain texts. It happens. It's okay. You know, sometimes they don't need to be true to it. I just kind of go through after I've watched the plays and just highlight my favorite lines. And there's a lot, especially in Romeo and Juliet, my God. And I've seen it so many times that I can quote. One of my favorite things from Romeo and Juliet is he takes her hand, and it's like there's this line of like palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss, but the which is so, but then here's the context. So it says, Romeo taking Juliet's hand, if I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle sin is this: my lips two blushing pilgrims ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss. And he kisses her hand, and she goes, this is Juliet, good pilgrim, you do wrong your hand too much, which mannerly devotion shows in this, for saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss. And Romeo, have not saints lips and holy palmers too? And Juliet, I, pilgrim, lips that they must use in prayer. And Romeo goes, oh then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do. Oh, you're crazy. And then she goes, saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake. And then Romeo goes, then move not while my prayer's effect I take. And he kisses her. And then he goes, thus from my lips, by thine, my sin is purged. From your kiss, my sins are purged from me. Her lips are holy. Julia says, then have my lips the sin that they have took. And Romeo says, sin from my lips, O trespass sweetly urged, give me my sin again. And he kisses her again. By the way, hey, if you didn't know, Shakespeare's amazing. I need to like highlight this whole interaction. This whole interaction is so cute. It's so sweet. And then there's the iconic like, oh Romeo, Romeo, where art for thou, Romeo? So Romeo leaves his friends after the party because he's like, I have to go find this girl. I gotta go see about a girl, bro. And then there's the whole like, but soft what light through yonder window breaks. It is the east and Juliet is the sun. Oh my God. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou, her maid, art more fair than she. At this point, he finds her on the balcony. She's just looking. She doesn't see him. She's kind of just admiring the moon, thinking on things. And then she starts talking. And he's like, see how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. And then that's where the, oh Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. Or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. So like her being like, if you forsake your family, but if not, then he needs to swear her love to her, and she will forsake her family for him, which is, anyway, I love it so much. And then she keeps going. She's like, 'tis but thy name that is my enemy, though art thou thyself, though not a Montague. What's a Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face. Oh, be some other name belonging to a man. What's in a name? That which we call a rose, by any other word would smell as sweet. So Romeo would were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title, Romeo, doff thy name, and for thy name, which is no part of thee, take all myself. This is just her thinking aloud, being like, okay, what's in a name? Like, he's a Montague, I'm a Capulet. Like, what does that even mean? Like, there's no meaning behind names, so why do we put meaning behind our own? If we were to call a rose anything else, it would still smell sweet. Like, and then he makes himself apparent at this, because he had been watching her all this while, and so he comes out of the shadows. He's like, I take thee at thy word, call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I never will be Romeo. And then she's like, because she doesn't know it's him, what man art thou that thus be screened in night, thus covered in light in the night, so stumblest upon my counsel? Romeo goes, by a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word. Oh, my ears have yet, and this is Juliet's, my ears have yet not drunk 100 words of thy tongue's uttering. Yet I know the sound. As in, like, I haven't known you long, but I already know you by the sound of your voice. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague? And Romeo goes, neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike. Oh my god. Love it. It's like that scene in The Notebook where she's like, you're dumb, and he's like, I can be that. That's literally Romeo, bro. That's literally Romeo, bro. Romeo's like, I don't care. He was like, I'll be whatever, I don't care. But another adaptation for this dude, 1996, Romeo and Juliet, directed by Baz Luhrmann. Insane. The first time I watched it, I was like, I don't understand what's going on. But it was also my first Baz Luhrmann movie. I have since understood his whimsy. Insane adaptation. Like, and it's Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a young Leonardo DiCaprio in 1996. Hello. He couldn't look better on that. And I think Claire Danes is also, she's Juliet. Wow. I just wish I could pinpoint exactly, like, I always trace it back to Much Ado. Like, if anyone asks me what my favorite Shakespeare play is, I'm gonna tell them Much Ado About Nothing, because it is just so, it's such a perfect play to get into. It's such a perfect, like, oh, like, okay, I see. Like, he was very much a romantic. He was hilarious. There's drama, and then there's love again, and it's just beautiful. And there's such nuance with his work, because there's so many new adaptions, and so many young people are diving into Shakespeare and reinterpreting his worlds in the most interesting, like, articulate ways possible. Because of course, you know, the English side of people who appreciate Shakespeare very down to, like, when we do movie adaptions, we want it to be as close to the text as he would have wanted it, which is fine. That's perfect. But I do adore the concept of the Globe Theatre having, like, the craziest adaptions possible to Shakespeare. I think he would love it. To his core, he's a man of the arts. So I don't care. He would have gagged. Shakespeare would gag at, like, a Western version of Romeo and Juliet. Like, yeah, he would have loved Baz Luhrmann too. And I love Baz Luhrmann. Oh, I love Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann version. I need to watch the one from the 60s. I just get a little iffy because I know they were both, like, children in that movie, and you know. So yeah, I think there's, like, a scene of them naked, which don't know if I want to see that. We'll get to that eventually, I guess, one day. There's so many adaptions I need to watch. I mean, but Much Ado and Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet is heavy, but it's also, I mean, there's the comedies sprinkled in it. 12th Night is also a good one, which I saw recently in New York at Shakespeare in the Park. My God. I don't even know how to articulate. I think about the emotions I felt during that. Probably the most like powerful thing I've ever experienced. And that sounds so dramatic. Also, I brought this with me to New York because I wanted to bring it with me when we were there. And then I ended up forgetting it when which I'm kind of glad I did because it started pouring rain. So this would have been like completely soaked, but at least I have it, you know. I have it. I brought it with me. Good memories. And I might even go through and read this too, because there were some amazing, but the park, this adaptation was so beautiful. Again, this was my first time seeing Shakespeare performed live. Like, it's one thing to watch it on like my laptop from like a movie, or like a really blurry like performance from the 60s or like the early 2000s, which are just as magical. But to see it, no matter the adaptation, no matter what they did to it, to see it was so, oh my God, it was literally witnessing something come to life. I don't know how to explain it. It was so magical. Oh my God. And it was just the way they did it, the adaptation of it. Lupita Nyong'o and her brother played the two twins in the 12th Night. If you don't know what the 12th Night is about, it's about two twins from I think one of them's a prince, or they're just from a noble family, but they're in a shipwreck and they both get separated. They both think the other died. They both end up on the same island, but distance like away from one another. Like, he's in a completely different city, she's in another one. She ends up disguising herself as a man, so she looks like her brother, and becomes close with a nobleman, or he's a prince, I can't really remember. And she ends up becoming like his most trusted like confidant kind of thing. And this nobleman is trying to woo this other lady. It's such a good character. Sandra Oh plays her, and it is she did, oh my God, to see her in person and performing, and Lupita performing, and Peter Dinklage was there. Peter Dinklage was so good. Oh my God. It was just insane to take in all of these amazing people that I love seeing act, and to see them perform live, and to see their choices that they make live. And oh my God, it was such a different experience. And this is probably nothing for people who like grow up in like theater districts, or like they go to the theater all the time. This is new. Like, this is so new to me that I've only started doing this year. We don't have this where I grow up. Like, I'm not seeing celebrities. I'm not going to plays, because the closest like theater where people perform live is 40-minute drive from me. So it's like, it truly was like the most magical thing I've ever seen in my life. It was crazy. Anyway, this guy's trying to woo Sandra Oh's character. Crazy. Funny. Lupita's character, disguised as her brother as a man, goes on the behest of this nobleman to be like, oh, hey, he wants you. Sandra Oh's character ends up falling in love with her. It's such a like a crazy love triangle. It is so funny. And the adaptation was so beautiful. They had the twins, Lupita's character and her brother, speaking Swahili, and it was just such a wonderful touch, because, you know, 90% of the people in the crowd don't understand what they're saying, but you feel it. You understand the exclamations. She'll have sometimes full whole sentences, maybe two lines worth of dialogue just completely in Swahili, and it's, people laugh. People still laugh because you get it. You just understand what she's feeling in the moment. I think that's amazing. I think that is amazing acting. I think it was incredible. And we met two people in line in front of us. They so we had to get standby tickets. I swear I almost threw up in that line, man. I was so fucking scared. I was like, I have to see this. I was close to tears. I was literally close to tears. Like, if we didn't get into that theater, I would have thrown up on the walk home. Like, but we got it. Thank God, man. And so that this couple, and we got in there right as the show started. So we did have to wait a little bit before they let us back up. We had to wait till music started playing. But I saw Lupita, like, up on the, oh my God, I saw her up on the stage, and I heard her speaking, and she said something in Swahili, and the people behind me were like, that's Swahili, because they understood her. And I was like, oh, that's so special. That's so special. That's so cool. And I hadn't read anything about how this adoption was going to be. It was amazing. Oh my God, the music. Like, oh, I wish they recorded this stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I wish they, just to have it, to know it's there. But that music it was just amazing, and oh my God. But the two twins in the end of 12th Night, and it's not really a spoiler, I mean, it's just beautiful, but they end up reuniting after some crazy stuff. And in Shakespeare in the Park version, they in this version, their reuniting is completely in English. In this version, it's completely in Swahili, and it was so beautiful. I could cry just thinking about it, because it was just such, you don't understand anything they're saying. I didn't understand anything they're saying. I don't know Swahili. But they did this amazing thing with the lights, where it kind of just zeroed in on the two of them as they're talking to each other. You kind of, the moment they recognize one of them is alive, it just kind of tunnels in, and then this beautiful music starts, and they're just talking to each other in Swahili, and you don't even have to understand what they're saying. You just feel it, and it made me cry so hard. I was like, oh my God, it was beautiful. It was so amazing. I wish I could go see it again, but I think they just wrapped, which sucks. I wish I could see it like 50 million times. But it was so good. And then once it ended, I bet people were looking at me crazy. I just literally burst into tears. I just started crying while everyone was walking out. I was like, I just started crying. And then I cried on the walk back out of Central Park. And I was like, dude, it was so good. It was just amazing to witness that. Like, I never would have thought I'd be in New York and I'd be hearing, for one, going to Broadway shows. I went to fucking 3 of them. And then going to see Shakespeare performed in front of me live with some of the most incredible, most talented actors that I have loved for as long as I can remember. I was like, what? I was like, what? It was just such like and then Shakespeare is just so powerful. His writing, to see it performed, I don't understand what it is. Like, that man had to have been like a witch or something. I don't know. I literally don't know. I just wish that feeling upon anyone else who decides to get into Shakespeare. To see it, to watch it is one thing. To put on an adaptation and watch it is one thing, but to see it performed, man, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to see that. Life-changing, like, literally. This is what I need people to realize. Like, once you tap into this, it is, God, it's just crazy. I don't know. And another moment I had of this realization, like, with Much Ado and Romeo and Juliet, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. It's like, okay. Like, I obsessed over those two for maybe, like, 2 months. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna sit down. I need to sit down. And I need to watch Hamlet, and Macduff. Hey, it's editing me again. I don't know why I'm saying Macduff here. The play's name is Macbeth. There's a character named Macduff in Macbeth. But that's not the name of the play. We're talking about Macbeth. So, and I think I say Macduff for like the next hour. Anyway, just ignore her. It must have been a day. Okay? Alright. Macduff and Hamlet are the heavy ones. Those are like the tragedies. It's the damn, like, everyone's dying. There's evil, like, it's bad. People go crazy. So, yeah. So this is my thing of Hamlet. I actually didn't read this first off. With Much Ado, I read it first, or I watched the adaptation, watched the adaptation, and then read it again. Hamlet, I put on David Tennant's adaptation. I highly recommend, by the way. My God. That man knows how to talk. He has incredible diction. That's what I'd say. And I just kind of... I didn't really follow along because, again, they did omit a lot of things. Some passages weren't there. It's fine. It happens with adaptions. But I just kept this on me for when there was something he said that I loved. I was able to highlight it, annotate it, whatever. Which I recommend to do. So, let me see if I can find, like, what's the first one I have tabbed on here? Let me see. Okay, yeah. Okay, of course. The first thing I have highlighted on here is his soliloquy. When Hamlet is kind of descending into his madness, but he's also grappling with the fact of, like, death and whether he should forego life because of all the wrongs that have happened to him, or give in to this hatred and this madness and seek revenge for his father, basically, because of the wrongdoings that have been done onto him by his uncle and his mother. And it's the to be or not to be, that is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. So literally him just being like, he's like, I want to kill myself, basically. Beautiful monologue here that happens from David Tennant. It is just, I don't know. I mean, watching this, it was really like, you feel so much pity for him. And then he just descends into this madness. And it's like, oh my God, you're just watching the downfall of this young man, burdened by loss and grief and you know, the comings of war and I think he's the Prince of Denmark, and it's like like he has so much going on, and then the betrayal of his uncle, you know, killing his father and a man who he had at one point thought he could trust. It's you feel so bad, you feel so pitiful for him, and to watch him deliver this monologue of like him really seeing no other option. It's so devastating. It is a crazy adaptation because it's one of those where it's like, it's just a tragedy. You just feel so sad. You feel so sad for poor Hamlet and the intensities he faces. There's also the character Ophelia, who kind of suffers from that and is what I interpret as the way women suffer the slings and arrows, for lack of a better term, of the passion and the angers of men. Because she loved Hamlet. She cared for him. and despite his madness, and his madness kind of, it harmed her, and she ended up dying for it, or because of it. And he mourns her. Hamlet mourns her because he realizes it was his mistake and his cruelty that drove her to that end, which is so sad. Oh, it is truly the most depressing thing you will ever, like, read. Also, Romeo and Juliet is equally as sad. So maybe be just cautioned with that. Just be a little careful with that, guys. That one's also sad. I have this old beaten up, it doesn't even have a cover anymore, of Antony and Cleopatra, which I haven't even sat down and, like, watched or read or anything like that. I do need to. He has so much stuff. You guys don't understand. This man, I could spend my entire life studying Shakespeare and I would not even touch the surface of everything he's ever written or whatever. But I also have Love, Labour's Lost. This is really short. This is super tiny. I think this is a comedy. I think as well. Excuse me. I actually have no idea. But I got it. Because one day, I'm gonna read it. I kind of just like to accumulate my Shakespeare collection. I'm trying. But I did get this big ass of all of his sonnets and poems, which I love. You can tell I love Folger. I think they have some of the best stuff, because they add, like, they have, like, basically, like, little dictionaries on the side of words or phrases in Shakespearean English that you might not know the direct translation to, or that translation has changed over time in the context of his sentences. So which is super helpful. But they also have little like explanations of what the sonnet or the poem is about, or what they have interpreted it as over time, like what they studied of what he could mean in terms of who he's talking about in his sonnets, or like whatever. Reading these, because I'm on sonnet 13, and he has this big theme right now going of, like, I'll read a few, but he has the current theme of right now is he's talking to someone, possibly a young man, and kind of urging him to have an heir, to have someone as equally as beautiful as him, to be able to preserve that beauty, which is amazing. That's a beautiful, I think it's such an intense way to be like, I love you so much that I want to see you settle down, so that way this beauty can be replenished into someone else. Which is interesting. Some of these he kind of turns to, like, begging, like really kind of desperate for this person who he's talking about. I'm assuming he holds deep admiration for, love for, to settle, to stop with his arrogance and do with it. And this is the fourth one. He goes, "Then how, when nature calls thee to be gone, what acceptable audit canst thou leave? Thy unused beauty must be tombed with thee." Like, if you die, bro, like, there's no one else who's gonna be as beautiful as you. Oh, this one is amazing. Number 5. He's kind of going off about this person's beauty. "Then were not summer's distillation left, a liquid prisoner pent in walls of glass. Beauty's effect with beauty were bereft." And he says, "But flowers distilled, though they with winter meet, lease but their show, their substance still leaves sweet." So in this, basically, that's the end of this, but he goes in the first part to be like, basically he's like, you're so beautiful, I wish I could preserve your beauty, like how people would take flowers and make them perfume. That's what, like, this distilled into glass. He's literally like, he's comparing He's comparing people literally making perfume from the beauty of flowers in spring so that they can preserve their smell, to wanting to do that to someone's beauty so that it can last longer for him. Yo, when I say this man is like ridiculous, as much as I love his work, I really don't know much about him as a individual. I guess there's not really a lot to go off of either from research, but I kind of just read through his wiki page and I was like, damn, does he have any like descendants? I know he married Anne Hathaway. And they had I think I had a son and I think 2 daughters or something like that. But then I looked it up, literally no descendants. One of his daughters who lived never had children. The other one might have had kids, and then none of them survived. And then his other children died really young. So I was like, oh my god, this man was so obsessed with this legacy, wanting to see someone have their legacy preserved, and his only legacy, I mean, and I say legacy in the sense of like children, his only legacy ended up being his words, which I think are beautiful. But I think how ironic, you know, he was so obsessed with the likelihood of some arrogant man not having that legacy preserved, i.e. children, that he didn't get that in a sense, but instead received the legacy of his work and his mind, I guess, living on, which is kind of crazy. This one, oh my god, so sad. It's actually kind of, this is where it starts to get to like begging, like pleading with this person. This is sonnet 10. And he goes, "For shame deny that thou bearest love to any, who for thyself art so unprovident. Grant, if thou wilt, thou art beloved of many, but that thou none lovest is most evident. For thou art so possessed with murderous hate, that gainst thyself thou stickst not to conspire, seeking the beauteous roof of ruinate, which to repair should be thy chief desire. Oh, change thy thought, that I may change my mind. Shall hate be fairer lodged than gentle love? Be as thy presence is, gracious and kind, or to thyself at least kind-hearted prove. Make thee another self for love of me, that beauty still may live in thine or thee." So, let's break it down, guys, let's break it down. "For shame deny that thou bearest love to any, who for thyself art so unprovident. Grant, if thou wilt, thou art beloved of many, but that thou none lovest is most evident." So this person he's talking about is very much like, I don't love anyone. I don't have love for anyone. I don't need this, blah, 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 blah. Yet he is beloved by many people. You know, so very popular, very arrogant individual he's talking about, of like, for shame that you say you don't love anyone, that you have no love for these people. Which it can be interpreted of like Shakespeare's kind of, for shame you say you don't love me. You know, despite being so beloved by so many people, you swear that you don't have this love for me. Or the person might just be like kind of cynical about their love, despite being so beloved by so many people. But reinforce, like, he could just be very cynical. "For thou art so possessed with murderous hate, that 'gainst thyself thou stickest not to conspire, seeking that beauteous roof to ruinate, which to repair should be thy chief desire." Basically, like, you sit under this heavy roof of convincing yourself that you cannot love anyone, so therefore but Shakespeare's like, that should be your chief desire, is to change that. What are you talking about? And then, of course, he goes on to say, "Oh, change thy thought that I may change my mind. Shall hate be fairer lodge than gentle love?" Like, don't, basically being like, don't, why should hate be the first foremost of this? Why can't love be? You know, why can't you see how I see you? Which is be as thy presence is, gracious and kind, or to thyself at least kind-hearted prove. So, like, prove, you know, as I see you as amazing. I love you for who you are. This person doesn't. Now he's like, or thyself at least kind-hearted prove, or at least admit to yourself that you are who everyone loves you to be. And then this last line is so heartbreaking. "Make thee another self for love of me, that thy beauty still may live in thine or thee," which it's also another, like, make yourself an heir, you know, make thee another self for love of me, that beauty still may live in thine or thee. So, you know, if you don't see this love in yourself, maybe if you have someone like a child, you will be able to see that love manifested and then be able to reflect onto yourself, and or Shakespeare being a little selfish of being like, I can receive that love from that other person, kind of thing. I'll be able to see it since you decide you cannot. I do have one sonnet that I will love till the day I die. And I can quote with my eyes closed, upside down, blindfolded, hanging upside down from a train, like, literally. I love this sonnet. It's sonnet 29. "When in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, happily I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that when I scorn to change my state with kings." Oh! And it is just such as, like, literally just him being, like, dejected, but he thinks on this person, and he compares his change in mood after thinking on this person like a lark singing at the break of day, singing, and it's like heaven's gates opening from that singing. It's him thinking on this person, and it's just, oh my god. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings. Like, it's so sweet. It is just so sweet. I love this poem so much. Sonnet. I love this sonnet. That I then scorn to change my state with kings. Like, damn it, man. Like, you wanted to be, like, dejected about this thing, but, like, of course I'm gonna change my attitude when I think on this person, because their thought of you makes me happy. That's so sweet. Shakespeare, you big old goof. So yeah. And I still have so much more to read. I'm only on 13. I haven't even gotten to the 20s yet. I'm just been going through and, like, highlighting and, like, going through. But I love people. There's so many people who will sit and they will just study each of these. All of his poems, everything. His plays, which I love. I love that so much about Shakespeare. You can never get bored. You will find something new always. Always. Like, when I was going through Romeo and Juliet, bro, I was seeing stuff. I was like, oh my god, I need to highlight this. I need to annotate this. I need to rewatch it. I need to do all this. So, but then I want to also highlight this book. So, Shakespeare Alive. If you want to understand Shakespeare, I highly suggest this book. because it's not like a textbook, but it kind of just follows through. It's incredibly written, and it's just, I love this title because Shakespeare is alive. You read Shakespeare, you experience Shakespeare, it is quite literally coming to life. It is the most incredibly intense thing you could do. Funny enough, this was gifted to me. Hi, Mia. This was gifted to me by my dear friend Mia, who I did also rope into Shakespeare. That I went to New York and saw Shakespeare in the park with, which was such a fun experience to have with her, because I think out of anyone on this planet, Mia understands Shakespeare the way I understand Shakespeare, which I think is beautiful. But she gifted me this book, but it's quite literally because of Smosh. Because of Angela from Smosh. She also studied Shakespeare, I think in the UK, which I would love to do. Hello. I would love to do that. But she got assigned to read this book, and she talks about it. I think it was in a podcast or something like that. I don't even know. It was a while ago. Like last year. Love it. Have I finished it? No. And I'm going to be very transparent here. I have not finished this book. However, the times I have been able to sit down and pick it up and read it, I love it. It is just, they wrote it so wonderfully. They transition, they just kind of take you through the historical context, the societal context of why Shakespeare became so popular, why people gravitated toward him, especially the lower classes, you know, why Shakespeare became Shakespeare. And it's wonderful. I highly recommend this book. Open this book and elbow your way into the globe with the groundlings. You'll be joining one of the most democratic audiences the theater has ever known. Alewives, apprentices, shoemakers, and nobles, in applauding with dazzling wordplay and swordplay brought to you by William Shakespeare. Which is something I love about Shakespeare, because I'm going to go back to, like, the arts. Rich people have really made it easy for people of lower classes to not be able to experience the arts out of fear of it being, you know, you're pretentious, or it's also become very inaccessible now, which sucks. Shakespeare made it so accessible to everyone. Everyone could go and see his plays. If they had the room in the globe, you can go and fucking see it. It didn't matter what social status you were, or your monetary status. Anyone could go and witness Shakespeare plays, which I think is beautiful, and that should be a testament to everyone now who wants to study Shakespeare but doesn't know where to go and thinks, oh, that's far, I wouldn't understand anything he's saying. You will, trust me, you will, because he had this, he just has this talent of being able to address things and people in ways that connects to them on so many different levels. Someone could read this, you could put a room of 5 people, have them read a Shakespeare sentence, they'll connect to it in completely different ways, the same exact sentence, because he just has a way of being able to branch out to so many different people and so many different things and scenarios for people to be able to latch onto and see themselves in. I saw this Twitter post recently of this teacher talking about Shakespeare and how he had a student who was so frustrated with the text, because he was convinced, like, and I experienced this too, where he was like, I don't understand anything this man is saying, I don't relate to anything he's saying, it makes no sense to me, you know. He was just very frustrated by it. And so the teacher said something about, like, words, which is something Hamlet says, and then him and the student just go back and forth reading the text, and eventually he kind of clicks in his mind of, like, wait, it's insane, like, the impact Shakespeare can have, especially for young people. I think it's so important for young people to be in theater. I wish I had been. I remember, like, I didn't go to a very well school. I don't live in a well-off area. So when I say, you know, my access to the arts is very limited, It is. That's why New York was such like a crazy experience for me, because you know, it's hard down here. Um, we had we had a we didn't have clubs at my school. We didn't have like drama. We didn't have band. We didn't have anything like that, just because I went to a charter school and it was very like, I don't know how we scraped by with the money that we did. But we ended up one school semester in middle school, we had volunteers who came in, and one of them was a drama club. And I signed up on a whim because I was like, you know what, that'd be fun. I love movies. I love I think at the time I was really into Hamilton. So that was like a big thing for me. Like I loved the theater. I was obsessed with it, and I still am. And so we started learning like monologuing, and we did all this stuff. And then we had the little talent show, and I did a monologue for it. And I think I got first place for my age division. It was either first place or second runner-up. It might have been first place. I don't remember. But I remember working so hard on this monologue. I was like, and it was so crazy because I loved it. Like, I loved the acting of it all. I loved memorizing it. I don't know. It was so fun. And if I could do a Shakespeare play, I think I would. Because there's something about being able to read his words and understand them and speak them as if they're where I'm speaking right now. Like, if I were to just... I love it. It is so fun. I love it. I love Shakespeare. I love talking about him, and I love reading him and understanding his words, and it's so fun. And if you do manage to sit down and read a play of his, I highly suggest speaking it out loud. Like, you kind of have to do it. Like, most of the time, like, when I read Much Ado About Nothing, I just read it in my head because it was my first time. I was like, okay, I can read Shakespeare. And I'm not going to stop anyone from doing it, because it was fun to read it, watch the movie, go back. But sitting here and reading like Shakespeare, like Romeo and Juliet out loud, his sonnets, it helps, because of course there's a cadence to them. Some of his sonnets and some of his poems, especially in his plays, they're sung. So there is definitely like cadence to them. Of course there is, they're poems, and he's a wordsmith, some may say. So, yeah, I don't know. I think this man is incredible. I think I really could not talk him up enough. And once you get into Shakespeare, you do kind of realize like how much he bleeds into our current media. Sometimes I'll watch a movie or something, and the dialogue of it has similar... It's hard to explain. It's so hard to explain. He has this way when there's tension between two characters, Shakespeare. The way their dialogue runs from one another is so specific, and there's such a distinct tone to them that when I hear it replicated in something that is not, it's so far from Shakespeare, I can't help but think if there is an inspiration there, whether intentional or not. Everything that ends up relating to Shakespeare 9 times out of 10 is unintentional, just because he has bled so thoroughly into every crevice of media. It is actually insane. Enemies to lovers, like the tragedies, like everything like that. Like, oh my god, half of these tropes Shakespeare invented, dude. Like, it is crazy. I love it. So yeah, everyone needs to pick up some Shakespeare. Everyone needs to sit down. If me reading that, some of these, like, changed your mind on him, like, truly you have to hear him. You have to hear him. You have to see him performed. Would I go back in time and be there for a Globe Theater production? Sure. But like people stank. There's no AC. It was just a completely wooden building. And if I go to the UK next year, because I'm trying to save up to do that, one of my biggest goals is to go to the Globe Theater. I need to go to the Globe Theater so bad, dude. Y'all don't even get it. I need to go, and I just need to, like, stand in there, like look at it, or, like, go and see a show if they even... I know they do. The Royal Shakespeare Company, they do shows still in the theater. And it is standing, which is kind of, you're going to be standing there for, like, 2 hours. I love Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare so much, and everyone needs to get on the wave. Everyone needs to get on the Shakespeare wave. All right, now. Cool, so I don't know what this is. I think it was just me gonna be fangirling over Shakespeare this whole time. I hope some of this made sense. I hope some of you maybe got inspired and want to check out Shakespeare. Again, my favorite adaptions. For Hamlet is gonna be David Tennant. There's also a David Tennant Macduff version that's on YouTube. Highly recommend that. That one is really good. Again, it's very intense, though. It's very intense. It's very long. I think it's a bit more tragic than Hamlet. Hamlet is tragic in all of itself, but it's just kind of sad in the end. Macduff is just very much more, you witness the madness of somebody, and not in the sense of Hamlet. It's so fun to watch David play two of those characters, because they're both similar, but they're both also different, because Hamlet is a young man racked with grief over the loss of his father, and that grief turns into madness. Macduff is just madness driven by madness and greed and fear, and it is so completely opposites of the same coin kind of situation. I recommend both versions with David Tennant. I think he's amazing. I love hearing him talk. I love looking at him. Love looking at him. Hello, Doctor Who fan over here. Yeah. We don't need to talk about Doctor Who, because then that would be horrible. There's a Doctor Who Shakespeare episode, which I love, because they make him bisexual. Which, reading his sonnets, if he's talking about men like this, like, assume. So yeah, those two versions of Hamlet, Macduff, check those out. Those are pretty good. There's also a version of Macduff that's kind of more contemporary. It's a movie. I think Denzel Washington's in it, if I'm thinking of the correct one. I remember trying to sit down and watch it, but that was like early on me getting Shakespeare. Really don't recommend watching Hamlet and Macduff if you're just getting into Shakespeare, because you will not understand anything. You will not understand shit, bro. Just stick to Much Ado About Nothing. The 12th Night is also fun. These are both comedies. 12th Night is definitely more comedy. Definitely more comedy based. It's just really funny. There's a version on YouTube with who's the dude who doesn't age? Paul Rudd. There's a version of Paul Rudd on YouTube with the 12th Night. Watch that. Check that one out. He has his abs out for like 80% of the show. Beautiful. It's hilarious. It's stupid. Love it. What's another one? Oh man. Taming of the Shrew is fun, though a lot of people, I think that's one of his controversial ones, because a lot of people interpret it. It's about this girl who is trying to be married off by her father, but she turns down all these suitors, or these suitors all run away because they think she's crazy. But she's just a wild girl. She's a wild girl. She don't want no man. But she ends up getting a man. This man ends up not leaving despite her attempts, and they ended up getting married. And it's literally just him, the taming of the shrew. The shrew is a woman who is wild, outlandish, shrewdish, you know, you get the picture. There's a version from Shakespeare in the Park in like the 70s with Meryl Streep. But you don't really see most of it. There's just kind of clips of it. But it's called Kiss Me Petruchio. It's on YouTube. You can see clips of the show, and then it kind of dives into like behind the scenes. And you also get to see the old like Shakespeare in the Park Theater, because now it's renovated. The Delacorte Theater is renovated when we went, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. But if you see the conditions they were in at the time, you'd be like, oh my god, yeah, no wonder. So that's a good one, but it's hard to find good adaptations of it, or like where they're actually physically performing. There might be some maybe like UK versions, I don't know, of somewhere, but that's a good one to also do if you're just getting into it. It's also not super long, it's funny. Romeo and Juliet will be your first introduction to his tragedies. It's not as intense, but if you watch the Baz Luhrmann version, if this is your first time watching a Baz Luhrmann movie, maybe don't do that. Maybe watch like Moulin Rouge and then watch Romeo and Juliet. Just so you have an idea of what you're getting into, because my god, the first time I sat down to watch Romeo and Juliet, I thought I was having a seizure. I literally thought I was losing my mind. I was like, what is going on? But now I watch it, I'm like, I love it. I gag for Baz. And then, of course, but, you know, first one off the bat, I'm always going to tell people is Much Ado About Nothing. Much Ado About Nothing, man. You get to watch hot people in the Italian countryside. I mean, literally, what better could you get with that? It is just so fun. You know, it gets a little sad at one point. It gets a little, like, tragic. And then, of course, we're right back to it. You know, we're right back to, like, awesome fun love. There's also a version with Catherine Tate and David Tennant on YouTube for Much Ado, which is a very fun adaptation. There's one version from the National Theater, which you can probably pirate ship it from, or just subscribe to the National Theater. I love the National Theater. They post so many amazing theatrical adaptations on there, like Streetcar Named Desire, all this stuff. So they have some good Shakespeare things on there too sometimes. Or just like plays. When I had National Theater, I literally only watched plays back to back. I need to actually resubscribe because I had to do some budget cuts for New York. Yeah, I can't recommend these versions enough. And just the theater in general, guys. Watch some plays. Go see a play. That's me saying that. I literally, again, it's not accessible to me here. Most I can do is like on YouTube or something. You know, do what you can. But yeah, that's what we got going for us tonight. I'm gonna get on out of here. I've been talking for an hour and a half. This is gonna be my longest video. That's the power of Shakespeare, baby. Wow. What we're gonna talk about in the next video, I don't even know. Okay? I really don't even know. I'm gonna be so busy next week. So the chances of me even uploading... Wait, it's not next week I upload. It's the other week. October. Oh! Okay, I'll see y'all in October. Maybe I'll have read more Shakespeare. I really want to read Winter's Tale. I actually there's a note in this book of the ones I need to read still. A Winter's Tale, As You Like It. Midsummer. I need to check out Midsummer. Othello. Love's Labor's Lost. Again, he just has way too much shit going on, bro. I could, it's gonna take me my entire life to even touch the surface of Shakespeare, which I love that. I love it so much. Okay. My throat hurts. I'm gonna go. I will see y'all when I see ya. Okay. I hope this was enlightening for some people. I hope, you know, maybe you guys discover a new awakening with Shakespeare. I don't know. Okay, I'm trying to spread the gospel. Okay. Bye. Goodbye.